good and evil. Sometimes the difference between the two is a sharp line. Sometimes it's a blur. Sometimes we have to do things outside of the law.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'm here from Supernova. Now, we've got a bunch of questions that a bunch of our people from Supernova have been wanting to ask us, but I've got a few that I want to ask as well.
Yeah.
First of all, Daredevil, the man without fear.
Yes.
Now, you've said that you don't want to do the man without fear because it's boring.
Well, it's not.
What are you afraid of?
Yeah. Well, it's not so much that I don't want to do the man without fear. I just think that it's. I just think that I felt like when we started, when I was reading the scripts, I'm not sure it's a very interesting trait to watch someone who is incapable of experiencing fear, and is kind of like, endlessly stoic in their approach to superhero activity. So I like to think of Matt Murdock as someone who feels great fear, but like the rest of us, but through his actions he decides to punch through that fear every day and keep showing up. And it's almost like the man without fear is a label that the public have placed on him.
Karen Page, your character, she's had some very dark storylines in the comics.
No kidding.
Yeah. So is that something that you kind of thought about going into it, and is that a decision-making process for you as to how dark you go to begin with, or do you sort of ever think, I'm going here eventually?
You certainly want to include that aspect of her. You want, especially in the beginning of a series, you want the character to sort of, you want to keep all possibilities open. You want to know that she could go in any direction at any time, and that's kind of what makes them characters dynamic.
Yeah. So one of the big things about the character is obviously blindness and the concept of disability or different ability. So for a start, is that a difficult thing to play?
That was something that I discovered. I hadn't anticipated, which is that that he's a great inspiration. Matt Murdock is a great inspiration to many people who've grown up with some sort of a physical disability, as someone who has kind of faced great adversity and has triumphed anyway. And so but of course with that comes great responsibility. Someone, a character who's so beloved and so important to so many people. Obviously you greatly hope that they will enjoy and be happy with the show that we make and the character that we portray.
Yeah, and in terms of that, like Scott Glenn did an interview recently where he said that this was one of the most stunt-filled shows he'd ever worked on. Yeah. Was that a challenge for you in terms of the fighting? Did you have to learn to blind fight, essentially, or? Yes,
well, so it's interesting because there are different aspects to the blindness. So, for example, there's, as Matt Murdock, there's kind of two versions of his blindness. There's the blindness when he's out in public and he's with people who don't know about him, about his alter ego. So he's maintaining the illusion that he operates as a blind person would. So he has a cane, and he would find things with his hands on the table and all those kind of things. He has a braille watch, for example. But then there's the Matt Murdock at home, or with people who maybe know about him, where he doesn't use a cane and he can operate. And that was the tricky one, because it was, if there's business in the scene to do, he would be able to do it without looking. He wouldn't need to find anything with his eyes and stuff. But as Daredevil, once he puts on the mask, as it were, and puts on initially the vigilante costume. And
I was going to say, initially the vigilante costume, because I know a lot of people are very interested to know about
colour. It will evolve into something that,
I'm hoping yellow and black at some point.
Okay.
Is that a thing?
Green, right?
Yes, I'm actually colourblind, so that's actually perfect for me.
Fine.
I am red-green colourblind.
No, just to be clear about that, because I'll be shocked. It will evolve into something that closely resembles the great costumes from the comics, but yes, it was in terms of the physicality and in terms of the action sequences. It's very difficult to do. They're very complex moves and sequences. But we did often talk about this idea of him being able to. What makes him different from the people he's fighting is that he's kind of maintaining this 360-degree image of the world, this kind of impressionistic view of the world around him, using his radar sense.
Yeah.
And And so if we could find moments to throw a punch or a kick in an opposite direction without looking and stuff, we relished that opportunity.
Yeah.
It was great fun.
And it looks really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Karen is a character that obviously has gone through a lot of different changes in the comics, but can you tell us a bit about the relationship between you two throughout this 13 episodes?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, well, as much as you're legally allowed to by the discipline.
I don't know, you want your job? I think I like my job.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. We're kidding.
After you.
I'll brave those waters. I think I can speak from Karen's perspective and say that, you know, certainly in the beginning and we encounter Karen without really any attachments. She doesn't seem to have any family or really friends, and she's just felt kind of betrayed by the people who she's close to. So I think she's looking for someone to trust, somewhere to feel safe, a family, a home.
Right.
And I think when she meets Matt and Foggy, she finds that, and finally people that she can trust and who can help her find out who she is. And I would say that I think for Matt and Foggy, similarly, she becomes home for them.
Yeah.
One of our friends, Royd, asks, how closely aligned will the television series be with the Frank Miller version of Daredevil in the 1980s? He's a very big comic book fan.
I can't tell.
Especially some of the characters created by Frank Miller, so Stick, and this version of the Kingpin. Will we get to see the Hand, the ninja clan? Or,
Yep. No, sorry.
That's not
That's not an answer. No, yeah.
Yes.
Understand.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, as in I understand the question. No, I will not answer it. So,
Right. Okay.
No, I'm
moving
kidding.
on.
So the thing that I'll say is that over since 1964, there have been so many different artists and writers and illustrators and inkers who have worked on these and greatly influenced the different series and issues of Daredevil. A danger when you make a film or a television show is that you try and please everyone. You have to choose. I think you have to choose the runs that I had to choose the different runs that I think best reflected the show the creators were trying to make. And so the Man Without Fear, Frank Miller, John Romita Jr. Series was of great influence, as was the Bendis Malieve, Bendis Mac,
Quesada.
Joe Quesada's Guardian Devil, as well as Jeff Loeb's Dead or Yellow. And so there will be many elements, and as we know, Stick is involved. We also know that John Romita Jr. Black Ninja costume is in the show initially, but here's the great thing about 13 Hours is we get to spend a lot of time checking a lot of boxes, and much more time in origin story. We're not confined to the first 20 minutes of the movie. We can come back to it and stuff.
And also maybe making some new boxes. Maybe we can redefine a little bit.
Yeah, exactly that. We don't want the show to be a foregone conclusion. We need to keep people on the edge of their seat as well. So
I have one last question. Defenders, it's a long way down the track, but who are you most looking forward to kicking butt with?
So we know that our defenders will be, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. The superheroes for hire. So that is not a group that exists as the Defenders in the comics.
No.
At present, maybe there will be. I don't know, but I'm very excited about that kind of dynamic. I haven't seen what those guys are doing. I know that they've started Jessica Jones, but I don't know, and I don't think they've cast Iron Fist yet.
Right.
But I think that's going to be a really, really interesting dynamic and a really interesting miniseries to make. I did get to meet Mike Coulter, I think, who's playing the Power Man the other day, and he's a big dude.
Right.
Yeah. He's a big dude. That's going to be an interesting dynamic.
Excellent.
Lots of looking up. I think the Defenders is what a great thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
And,
Look, we're looking forward to Defenders, and we are very much looking forward to Daredevil.
Yeah.
So, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so much.
joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Cool.
Maybe if he had an iron suit or a magic hammer, that would explain why you keep getting your asses handed to you.